Hey, and welcome to the Dice Tower. I'm Camilla.
I'm Zee Garcia.
And we're going to be checking out Explorers of the Woodlands. This is going to be a cooperative adventure, kind of a family weight game is what I'm thinking, where you're going out and exploring. It's kind of a dungeon crawl, so you're building out the forest as you go, ultimately trying to take out the big bad monster at the end. So let's check out how it plays. All right, let's take a look at Explorer of the Woodlands. This is going to be for 1 to 4 players, playtime about 35 minutes, ages 10 plus. The game is going to be, or each round I should say, is going to be split into 2 different phases. In the first phase, we're going to be populating the tiles out here on the board, 1 additional tile per player, and in the second phase, we're going to be rolling some dice and using them individually in order to take some actions and hopefully take out some baddies. So for example, top of the round, each player, if they have any exhausted items, would unexhaust them, and then they would apply any effects that they have. So throughout the game, you might get a poison status, and which would cost you 1 health at the beginning of your turn. But right now, nobody has any, so we would go through the population here. Each character is, or each player, I'm sorry, is going to turn over a card, a tile, and place it out on the board and populate it. If it has this monster symbol, it'll come in with a face down monster on it. The next player would go as well, turning 1 over. And this one is really bad. This is 2 monsters. So we would place 2, again, face down on that. Now, some of these tiles are going to have an exclamation point like this on it, at which case you would populate it with 1 of these. That means the first time a player moves into there, they do need to complete an event over here. These can be good and bad and everything in between. Some of the tiles are also going to come out, as we saw, with the 2 monsters on them and 2 of these treasure chests, in which you would just put the tokens on them. Once all monsters are cleared off of this tile, then the players can take and use these treasure tokens here to get a treasure. And again, that's going to be different staffs or different ways to mitigate their dice, anything like that. These are all good, and they will go into their inventory. Each character can hold up to 3. Another type of tile might be this one, which you can use to transport yourself back to the home tile, or even the final monster, which is going to be in the bottom 3 of this stack. It's going to have this symbol right here, and that is what's going to bring out our big baddie that we have to fight in order to, I'm pretty sure, win, but I can't find that anywhere in the rulebook. We're just going to have to take my assumption. So after each character has populated the board, then they get to take their turn. They have 4 action dice here, which they will roll. They have to keep at least 1 from the first roll, and then they can re-roll any of the others that they would wish to, and they only get 1 re-roll, again, unless that is mitigated. The first 2 abilities on the character board are the same for all characters. The top one requires a die of the value 1 to 3, and it can have any number that allows you to move throughout the board here. On a 4 or higher, you can gain an orb. Orbs are spent on your turn to re-roll combat dice, or they are used to power up your special abilities over here, which gives you a little bit of asymmetry. And then the last 2 for characters are asymmetric. So for example, this one here, I can get rid of a status. I talked about that poison token earlier. You can get rid of status for somebody or roll an additional die during combat. So the 4 characters will be a little bit different on those last 2 abilities. They also all have a unique card that is going to slide over here, which I said you can use orbs to upgrade that and give you a little bit additional asymmetry as well. So we've rolled our dice here, and then we would go through and decide how we want to use it. So for example, maybe this 4, I'm thinking of using it for an orb. Can't use the other 2. I want to move perhaps once, but the other thing I'm going to do is take and bank these 2 dice right here in order to unlock the orange power die. So now that I kind of have an idea of what I want to do on my turn, I'll go ahead and take the turn. I'm on a tile with a monster here, so let's fight. Looking here, we can see he has a strength of 3 and a health of 1. So I have to hit him 1 time with a die of 3 or greater. So I would take these black die here. You get 1 free die. Any dice that are added to your pool because of special items, we have none, and the power die. Roll those dice, and I got him twice. That's okay. That means he's not going to hit me back. Had I lost, I would have taken the 2 hit points and had the loss effect over here. On this one, it's nothing, but it could be any number of things. Because I won, though, when I killed him, I look at the left side and resolve the good things over here, or the successful effects. So here I get an orb, and then this symbol here means that he's going to go back into the stack to be seen again later. There's all kinds of effects on these. Some of them are going to give you orbs. Some of them cost you orbs if you lose here. This one costs you an orb and a treasure. So a lot of different effects that'll come out because of these. They also, you might have seen a status in the top right hand corner. They might have weaknesses or strengths against different power dice as well. So that's something that will be used to make them a little tougher for some of the characters. If two characters are ever on the same tile together, then they can combine in on this fight, and the other supporting character would also get to roll the one free dice, but he cannot use any special power die he might have banked or any of his abilities on the cards and weapons. All right, so once he goes through and he completed the battle, we got our good stuff. He would then get to move, and let's say that he just wants to move one back into here. You can see this one has thorns on it. When you enter a tile with thorns, you are going to have to roll a die and consult the thorn card here to see the effect. There are 3 of these included in the game: easy, medium, and hard. Here on the easy, you can see the effect of 4 is I lose an orb. All right, so now the end of the turn, the last thing that I have left, because we have moved, of course, is to gain an orb. This orb is not usable on the turn it's gained, so therefore you gain it at the very last step of your turn. So that would go up an orb. And this player is complete. We would take the dice and pass it to the next person who would do the same. Play is going to continue like this. Like I said, you're going to be going around and trying to get different, fighting the monsters to get different items here and add 2 combat dice to your battle, instantly teleport to the start tile, any number of items here, as well as going through events that we see populate out here. Here's an event, a war cry, put a +1 shield marker on 3 different markers. Event, you find wild mushrooms. Do you want to eat them? And you get to decide if you eat them, and if you do, you'll roll a die and see what happens. So here's a healing potion as well. A lot of different variety comes in those. Once both players have taken their turn, we would then reset and go back up to the top of the phase. Continuing like this until, like I said, that final boss monster is going to be revealed. Once it is revealed, and again placed wherever you decide, you would populate it. So we put 2 treasures on here, we put a regular monster, and then we would put our big bad monster as well. We don't know what he is. Once we enter that space there, they would both be revealed at that point. Once they are revealed and we can see what we are fighting here, we will populate it with the blue cube on it. You cannot fight the boss monster until the other ones are cleared off, so we would need to kill off this guy. Once we do, before you begin a battle with him, you have to roll a die again to see what the effect is. Sometimes he's going to be immune to certain dice, again these power dice here. Other times he's going to have a weakness towards them. So for example, this monster here has a weakness towards all of the power dice, so you will get +1 on your rolls for that one. If you roll a 1, however, when you go into battle, you're actually going to have to add another monster into that spot in order to fight. So the fight is as we described before with the other ones. He's just tougher. He has a shield of 4, a health of 4, and hits back for 2. So you're going to fight him and try to kill him to ultimately win. I'm pretty sure, again, that's how you win, but the only place I could find that was the back of the box. But I guess it kind of makes sense that we're dungeon crawling here and we win if we kill the boss, so we're going to go with it. We're going to lose if at any point in the game both players are knocked out because their health reaches 0. If we're knocked out, we lose. We're also going to lose if we don't kill this big boss before this tracker reaches the end here. Once he is revealed, once he is face up, after each player's turn, this cube will move up 1 spot. After all the players have gone, so at the end of the phase, the cube will move up another spot. So for example, here, each round, you can see the marker is going to move up 3 times. Once after player 1, once after player 2, and a 3rd time after the round ends. And that's how you play the game. It is important to note that the base game comes with a couple mini expansions in it here. We have the layer expansion, in which you can choose to go into a layer on certain tiles. I don't see any out here on the board right now, but there are tiles that allow you to go and explore a layer like this one here. So you'd be able to go in and complete a couple different events to hopefully get some goodies. And it also comes with the in tile. If you're playing with this mini expansion, same thing. When somebody goes into it, we would reveal an in card, and that stays into play for the game, that players can take advantage of that in and the goodies that might come from it. And other than that, like I said, there's a couple different thorn cards, which are going to mitigate the difficulty there. There's lots of bad monsters to choose from that you'll choose randomly at the beginning of the game. Each character does have their asymmetric powers over here that they will be spending orbs to upgrade. And finally, there's an enraged module. We didn't talk about the runes that are here on these tiles. Those tie into the enraged module that you can play with in order to increase your difficulty. Certain monsters on certain tiles will be enraged and that much harder to fight. So a lot of variability in the box, but that is Explorers of the Woodlands. Let's head back up top. All right, right off the bat, I was drawn to this game because of the look and the artwork.
Oh, absolutely. It is a gorgeous looking game.
It is so cute. It's like Root adjacent almost.
Sure.
But in a dungeon crawl way. And I just think that's so unique and so grabbing.
It looks to me like it's based on a cartoon I've never seen.
But I want to see it.
And I want to see it.
Yes.
It's super cute. I'm like, oh, what comic is this?
Yeah.
Or what cartoon is this? I love it. But it's just its own world. And yes, it's gorgeous.
It definitely doesn't have that Gennaria feel, even though it does deal with magic and orbs and special powers and stuff like that.
Yes.
Speaking of which, that's one of my favorite things about this game is the individual characters in it and the way they handle the asymmetry. Because like I said, it's going to be a family weight game, but you still feel like you are building up a character, a little RPG almost, with you're building up and you're getting more powerful as you go. But what I really loved that they did was there's not specific kind of classes, I guess, for the characters. I can't tell you, this one is for sure the fighter. Maybe he has a special power that he goes into that's a fighter, but his second level might have nothing to do with fighting. It might have to do with exploring or something like that.
Right.
So I find the characters are not shoehorned, which I thought was really unique.
And they're cute. They give you a little personality. They do have sort of like, I'm the one who can shield from a hit. I'm the one who can take you along with me. So they do have sort of roles that they play. They're just not generic, again. And I think that helps, both in the look of the characters, helps them not feel and come across generic, and in the names. No one's called Ranger. No one's called Barbarian.
And all of their powers don't do one specific thing. They're very varied in themselves as well, not just compared to each other, but in their own power. So I thought that was really good. Another thing that I really liked was the unique cards in here, the event cards. Sometimes with those event cards, it's like, it could be good or it could be bad. They feel swingy. I like that if they're really bad, a lot of times they give you a choice. So for example, one of the cards, and I believe I showed it in the overview here, is the mushrooms that comes up. And it's like, do you want to eat the mushrooms? And you can see the results. You have to roll a die, and it's very swingy, but you have a choice to do that.
Sure.
So yes, there are some bad ones. You turn it over, you get extra monsters. But at the end of the day, this is a dungeon crawl kind of feel anyway. You want to fight the monsters. So the bad ones feel kind of mitigated in that, and you feel like you have some options and choices. I thought that was really well done as well. One of my frustrations with the game, I don't know how you felt about this, was the rulebook in general not giving me everything that I felt like I needed. And it kind of took me through a journey, because I read the rulebook the first time, I got to the table, I'm like, I'm getting it, oh, this is good. All right, hold on, I need to go check the rulebook for that, I need to check with the rulebook for that. Put that play aside, went back and reread the rulebook and realized a lot of that stuff's just not in there.
Right.
There's not a player aid. There's nothing to show you where the symbol, what the symbols mean.
The game literally does not tell you how to win.
Right, the back of the box does, but the game doesn't.
The back of the box suggests how you win. I don't think it says, to win, specifically do this. And I don't care if it's on the back of the box. You can put it all over the cover if you want to. It needs to be in the rulebook.
Right.
The rulebook nowhere tells you how to win the game.
Right.
That's a major problem, and it's not the only one when it comes to the rules, I think. And that's a huge frustration with me. I think that the game's taken a massive hit, and for me, numerically, for its score. And certainly the rule book is a big part of that.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely was that negative kind of journey the more I looked at it, because I thought it would be in there. Like you said, the how to win, the win condition isn't in there. And so you just kind of make that assumption. And then there's nothing to describe all the different symbols. There's not a player aid. There's not an index in the book, anything like that. And there was one symbol specifically that I interpret them to be the same thing, but they're two different icons.
Yes.
So am I adding a die, or am I adding one to a die roll? Or am I adding one to all my die rolls?
Yeah, again, like you said, there's actually, for those two effects, as far as we can tell, there are three symbols that cover those two effects. And we're fairly certain two of them are distinct symbols, but mean the same thing.
Yeah.
And they came up with it twice for some reason. Again, it's that sort of the language of this game is muddy. It feels like a first attempt. It feels like it's not quite there.
Yeah.
You know, it's a great first stab at putting together some cohesive rules around this gorgeous world, and you're not ready to hit print yet. Right. You got to get more eyes in there and have those things come up. They will come up. So that's the thing. I don't know how many people looked at this game, but anyone who plays this game a few times will go, why is that symbol different from this symbol? Even though, as far as I can tell, they're the same thing. Because different people did it, or they made one and forgot about it and made another one. Yeah. You know?
It feels like people learned how to play from the rule book, but then when they played, they had someone there teaching them, giving them the clarifications.
Right.
It's like, hey, read the rule book, then come play my game, but while you play it, I'm going to be there to answer all your questions.
Sure.
And those questions never made it into the rule book, because I understood how to play going into it, but then just so much left unanswered.
Right.
And that was a huge kind of punch in the gut, on some of those subsequent plays. The other thing I did not like about the rulebook is there's certain mini expansions included in this. There's two of them. There's the Dragon's Lair and the Inn. And I don't like that in the base setup, those are included in the setup. And so you go through, as you're reading, it's like, hey, put this in there. Unless you're not playing with this mini expansion, then take it out. It's like, just teach me how to play the game at first. If the mini expansion is really mini enough, it can be in there, then it's part of the game, then put it in the game.
Right.
If not, put it at the end. And I think that kind of was a disservice, again, to the teach and to the setup.
Again, there's a better way to organize that.
Right.
There's an easier way. Teach it like as part of the normal game. Then at the back of the rule book, you can do something like, for particularly young players, remove these 2-3 things.
Yes.
Great. You can do it that way. You can organize a rule book to front load easy mode or front load normal mode, and then teach the other one at the end, or the variations from it. This sort of both at the same time doesn't really work. You're like, put it in there, or don't, and then this one, put it in, or don't. No. It's in or it's not. Then teach me the difference at the end.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I absolutely agree. And I think those things combined did not lead me to want to explore the campaign that's involved. Because it's like, if I have that many questions going into it, knowing that there's going to be multiple games in a row, one that affects the other, I'm hesitant to get into that, So I haven't touched the campaign, and I don't see myself trying to or wanting to do that.
This is not the kind of game, in my opinion, that you jump into for the campaign. It's the very purpose of this is a 30-minute kind of loosey-goosey blast of pretty fun. Okay? I don't want to play your campaign. Your rules are goopy and jello-like. I'm just going to mess around. I'm going to make calls and house rule some stuff, and then in 30 minutes I'm done. And I put it away and don't think about it for a while. That's just not the kind of structure that this brings to the table.
Interesting, because I think that this is the kind of game that I would want a campaign in. I do think it does feel like my first dungeon crawl, kind of, without feeling kiddie specifically. And so this is the kind that I would want to introduce that to. Little 30-minute segments. Can my family handle it? Can my son handle it this back to back? And does he enjoy that kind of stuff? So this is exactly the setting and the length of game, everything that I would want for that. The rules just completely turn me off.
We're saying the same thing. I like the setting.
I thought you were saying you would not want to do a campaign of this style.
I don't want to do it because of this.
Because of the rule book.
Yeah,
okay.
Because it's a goopy mess, because I'm not going to beat my head against this piece of paper through a campaign. Forget that noise.
Okay. Yeah,
I'm going to play it once. I'm going to put it away, and then when I come back to it, I'll have a few more questions, but it'll be the same questions.
Right.
Not all new questions every time I play it. No. Okay. Again, if this was robust, absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay.
Short blasts of fun in this gorgeous setting, yes. Absolutely, yeah. But not in the shape it is now.
But I don't trust the rule book to jump into that.
It never told me how to win. How am I expected to think the campaign's going to be good?
Right.
You know what I mean? There's going to be a lot of stuff left unsaid, and I don't want to fight that.
Right.
That's my thing. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
With that, do you have final thoughts and a rating for this?
I do. I really love, like I've said, and I'm kind of beating a dead horse here, the look and the setting for this game. It is the kind of game that, in my opinion, is like begging me for house rules.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I hate house rules. I'm not normally somebody who will house rule things. This is one of the biggest temptations to house rule things because I want to, for me, in my opinion, salvage what's in here, okay? I love the look. I love some of the ideas that are in here. They're just messy. Some of the things in here, as as we're playing and I'm learning these rules, I'm like, that's what they decided to go with. Why? It's like the path of most resistance. Why would you do that? Why would you end at that conclusion? That's a bad idea. It's immediately a dumb idea. And then again, all those things just compounding. So this is getting a 5.5 from me. It was incredibly frustrating. It very quickly kind of dove off a cliff for me. And while I could see myself playing, I think it's one of the few times I'd be like, yes, I'll play. It's quick and it's pretty and I can have fun with it. But I'm throwing house rules in it. It's packed full of luck. It's got weird, clunky rules on top of that. Some things are getting trimmed or combined or just sheared off. So for me, 5.5. Unless you want that effort, and let's be honest, how many games are out there? You don't need to put in this effort. Then I don't really recommend it. If you're someone who loves house ruling or you like that challenge of, it's a game that's not quite there, but I'm going to get in there and tweak it a little bit, then yes, I think you'll enjoy this.
I think I disagree pretty strongly, actually. I don't think you have to love house rules in order to have fun in this game. So I'm going to come in at a 7.5. That is significantly lower than what it was after my first play.
Right.
My first play, I was like, this is amazing. This is like excellent. I'm loving what it's doing. It's nailing it. I just need to tweak I need to figure a couple things out to make sure I'm doing it correctly. And the fact that I never could do that, and like you said, we had to get to the house rules. But I think if you're okay with making some leaps in logic, like clearly, I'm assuming that I have to beat the big monster to win. And as soon as I beat him, then I win. All right, cool. We all agree with that. We move forward. If that doesn't bother you and you are okay making kind of the decision, we're going to play it this way. We're all on the same page. This is a really good entry level, my first Subterra, or an alternate to Zombie Kids, where you're looking to go through something short little burst with your family and introduce them to these dungeon crawler boss battler kind of situations. I think it really handles the individual player powers uniquely and very streamlined without feeling, again, like you're playing a kiddie game or like you don't feel like you're playing a stripped down version of something that should have been bigger. I think it really is a niche in that and does it really well. But you're right, the rulebook is a holdback, and you're going to have to make some of those leaps and logics. And if you're okay with that, then I think this will be a really good game, and I would recommend it for you and your family in that setting.
Yeah, for me, that's definitely not okay, especially when the game is this light and this lucky. Also, it's a very swingy game. It's very lucky. You're rolling dice for everything. Like, you need to move this turn. You might not roll the dice. You need to move.
Yeah.
You know what I
I'm
mean?
definitely more okay with house rules than you are. I'm more like, let's just agree and have fun, and you're definitely more like, but what are the rules?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. So, all right, well, that has been Explorers of the Woodland. Thanks for joining us here at the Dice Tower. I'm Camilla.
I'm Zee.
Keep on exploring.